Looks like we got two grays right now. We'll see which one is the real one.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, Gray?
Dude, I'm so sorry. That was a pain in the ass. I
No
literally
worries.
had to go on. I had to go on my iPad because my computer just keeps crashing every time I even launch Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, and now it's working on my computer. What the hell? This is so weird. I can literally. Hold on, can I flip this?
Now you got multi-angle.
Dude, I literally don't use Zoom at all. That's my laptop, and I'm using my iPad right now.
I gotcha.
Jacked. Anyways, how's it going?
Going great, man. I guess I'm gonna try to remove the other one.
No, I just left. I left.
Okay.
I should have left at least.
Let's see. See if I can put in waiting room. There it is.
Awesome.
All right. So yeah, man, it's good to meet you. You're out in California?
Yeah, plus, yes, San Diego.
Sunny San Diego.
Yes, very sunny San Diego. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. There we go.
All right.
There we go. We're good.
Master Video.
Yeah.
Moto America.
Dude.
GP Industries.
Yes, that is me, and an amateur with Zoom calls.
Hey, we're all learning here. I think this is my 14th Zoom call so far in the last couple of months. So I'm getting
nice.
trained.
Yeah, it takes a little time, but you get used to it after a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
So just tell me about you were gone this weekend. I think you were at American Track doing some filming down there.
Yeah, so I went out to Volusia Speedway in Barberville, Florida for the first and second round of flat track, and this was my first time like really filming flat track, so it was really cool to see different series, different sport, different ways things are ran. So it was a little bit of a learning curve just because the way that they run the sessions and stuff is completely different than Moto America. So it did take a little bit of a time to get used to. So by the second day I had things pretty dialed in, but it took me a little bit. But it was cool. Both my riders did really well. Worked with James Rispoli and Chad Coast, and so Rispoli went 2-2 and Chad went 2-4, and they were at the top of the timesheets like all weekend. So it was a good weekend for both of them, and got cool content and everything. So can't complain.
And so you're filming for individual riders, not the series of AFT, right?
Yeah, so I am privately contracted to those riders, but I work directly with AFT to get them like footage for advertising, social, et cetera, et cetera. So I send them all the footage I got, and they can use it for whatever they do. And same with Moto America, I work with them directly to get them content for advertising, socials, and stuff like that. So it's important for me to form a good relationship with the series so that I can keep doing what I do, and and help grow the sport as much as I can. So
yeah, I seen you've been blowing up on Instagram with all those videos, you've been posting everything.
I'm trying. I've been doing a lot of research and stuff on the algorithm and how to grow my social and stuff because I'm trying to hit 10K by the end of the year. So I've been really working how to be the most efficient with the content I produce. So I've been working, and it's steadily growing. We're doing pretty good right now. So I think we're gonna hit 5K soon, which I'm really excited about.
Awesome. Do you use any sort of scheduler for social media? Any scheduler app for your content?
The problem is I recently went and revamped my entire feed. So every post is like collage with the others, so it's linked.
Oh, yeah.
But that means that I have to go in advance and Photoshop it so that they're all seamless.
Right.
So it's really hard to plan that much ahead, but I usually schedule for every other day at 9:30 a.m. That way it's consistent.
Yeah.
Plus or give or take 15 minutes depending on what's going on. But I try to, and depending on how much content I have, I usually schedule 1 or 2 posts in advance. And then sometimes I obviously don't have content, or content that I want to post. So I kind of just push it back and then just post whenever I got stuff to work on. So
yeah. It seems pretty cool, well, I'm obviously biased from coming from racing, and if I were to go into doing some videography, I think racing would be a really cool thing to do. I mean, all the content looks badass. You don't have to do anything to look badass, right? So it does a lot of work.
I mean, fortunately, I do film lots of very, very talented riders who have very cool styles, and so it's easy to make them look really cool, which helps in turn, you know, grow my socials. But I mean, also we're a very niche community, which is a big community, so it's pretty easy to target as far as like algorithms and like engagement and stuff. So
yeah, very cool. And I had wrote down a couple of bullet points, and I think you're the first person to ever ask me for some questions, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I do these, I try and have an idea so I can kind of prepare, even though I was working before this, so I didn't prepare at all. But just so I have an idea of the kind of direction we're going with this, you know. So, but I mean, I think it's gonna be a good podcast. So.
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going with it too. I just like to start a platform and just start talking and see where it goes, and talk to people like you, people all around the sport, and talk to different vendors that I have or sponsors and different people. It's great. It's just more content that's almost free to create. Cameras, a couple minutes of editing.
And the other thing is there's so many different people you can talk to, especially in our industry. And you can talk to all the riders, you know, the crew chiefs, you know, team owners, mechanics. There's a lot of different variety you can get, especially with everyone that's in our industry. So I don't think there's like really going to ever be like an end to talents and personalities they can have on this, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and you can do it with anybody in the world. I mean, you're in the...
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I guess we could just start going down the list. What do you got?
You started your own podcast briefly. I don't know if it's still going on, but yeah, it was pretty rowdy.
It's a little on hold right now, but basically, obviously I do the film stuff, but more than anything, I call myself an entrepreneur just because I really, especially this year specifically, I took it on like a business. I'm treating like business. I got my own FBN, a sole proprietorship, you know, I got my business license, everything, like it's full legit. And so I'm really treating it like a business, like everything's very serious, no messing around. And I'm really working on figuring out how I can separate myself from everyone, how I can take a different business model than everyone else, you know, how I can really reach the new heights and, you know, start working with all the big teams up in Europe and stuff. And so, so because I'm so in love with like entrepreneurship and business, my buddy and I, who actually met at the entrepreneurship society at the college I used to go to, we started a business podcast. It's an uncensored business podcast. We can say whatever we want, obviously within reason, you know. Yeah, we're cussing all over the place. It's really fun. It's a great time. And so we decided to make a podcast where we can start talking about business ideas, you know, trends and stuff, have people on eventually. And so it was a fun run, but I mean, right now I'm traveling every other weekend essentially. He's got his own thing that's taking me up now that things have lined up as far as, you know, lockdown and such. So now we're both in busy, so I think we're kind of postponing it just a little bit. I'm probably gonna kick it back in gear eventually, but for now it's not as much a priority. But it was fun, and it was cool to, you know, do something else and create something else. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and it's one of those mediums that there isn't a whole lot of editing involved. Really, the only editing that I'm doing is switching between the camera feeds, you know.
I wish it was like that, but for me, there's a lot of editing that went into it. But I mean, it was more just tedious, you know, knock it out, and then when it's done, then we just post it. So, but no, it's definitely not as tedious like some of the stuff that I do, you know, where it's a whole story. But yeah, I can totally get what you mean.
Yeah, and you know, I like all the videos that are they're so snappy. You see this frame and then this frame and then this frame. To me, it's like, man, that would take me like 18 hours just to film that second clip.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, and the big thing for me, and this is one of the reasons why I've got a lot more attention the past year than when I first started, is I really was working on getting my storytelling down. You know, how do I create a storyline? How do I show character development as, you know, the video or the series progresses, so that it creates almost like a movie effect, you know, because anyone can go out and show a bunch of on-track stuff and interview each rider like, how's the weekend? But to show like actual character progression and show all the emotion is a whole nother depth to video. And that's why like my series with Kyle Wyman, it took off so quickly is because we really showed the side of, a privateer rider that you never see, especially one of such a caliber and such of a team and with a fan base that he has. Because I would argue that he has one of the strongest fan base with this KW Army. And to go ahead and show off his everything that goes into it is such a new perspective that people don't see. Like, we're bringing people into the sport who never really understood why people like motorcycle racing until they watched the show. Yeah, like he had a lady email him saying, I never understood why my husband was so into motorcycle racing until I saw your series, and now it all makes sense. Like that's the kind of stuff you don't get from just regular video. And so it's all about that storytelling that I've been really working in, that's been able to separate myself from a lot of the other guys. And I think that's the element that people don't really see, and obviously there's little things here and there, but that's like the big juice of it that I've been working on.
Yeah, it makes those videos that make your hair stand up are the ones that really spike your emotion. And if you get somebody's emotion like that, they're hooked. They don't even like the sport yet, and they're like, I have to learn more.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, and especially because we are kind of on a renaissance for American road racing, and I think that this is like the perfect time to start bringing that kind of content and media in to really help spike interest in the series. Yeah,
I really believe, given the right marketing, given the right amount of commercials that are shown on TV for it, put it in front of enough people's faces, a lot more people will, I believe, get into it and start watching. But it's like, how do you get it to be as big as NASCAR, the NASCAR budget?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, because they're having to do some sort of revival deal over the past 5 years with the series, it's like they're starting from the bottom and they're trying to climb their way up.
Yeah.
After the big downfall of AMA Pro. So it's like, for them, they're doing a very intimidating task. And I've always been very optimistic, and I think that they're doing a good job. And obviously there's things here and there that have been hurdles for them, but I think that they've got a good direction. I think that they keep kind of implementing these new things, like with the Fox Sports 1 and the Eurosport broadcast, and they keep bringing on like new sponsors and stuff. I think that if they can bring some, and I've talked to people over from Europe about it, I think if they can bring in some European talents, some big name riders, I think that it's going to really bring the Motor America to a whole nother level.
Yeah, I think that could really open up the floodgates. With Tony Elias, pretty cool. This guy has beat Rossi, so and he's in our series, getting beat by our guys sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's like, more what the series needs. And I don't know if it's going to be like a monetary thing or what, but whatever it takes. I think that that's what's going to, because we used to have big names like Chaz Davies used to race with us, Neil Hodgson, all those guys used to come over here, and that was like the height, so we're going to bring big names. Like, I don't know how public this is, but it's not happening anymore, but there was talks of Mark Melandri coming to race for one of the teams over in Superbike. It's like big names like that. If we can bring them over to the series, even just for one year, you've got that entire fan base coming over to watch, especially with the Eurosport. So it would be great if I could be some sort of contributing force with that, with my media. If I could get some attention, and rider that it has no ride in their series or whatever is looking for new opportunities, and they see my video pop up or whatever on their feed, and they're like, that's an interesting idea, and then they start talking to teams.
Yeah,
opens doors.
Just wildcard events. I think one day when I'm rich and I have a team, a fleet of bikes, I think it would be awesome to have a full dedicated team to just giving wildcards to superstars.
That would be sick.
Just have a different rider on the bike every weekend, and just we'll pay you to ride our bike because you're it'll help our sponsors that you're on our bike, and they're not going to do bad. Bringing over World Super Sport riders or or Asian Talent Cup or whatever
it is. Yeah. And I think that's a cool new insight into how to bring talents into the sport, because there's a lot of ways to go about it. And I'm really excited to see what happens in the next few years with the series. I'm hoping that they grow. And I think that it will be good for the sport, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I've seen all the marketing decks that they put out, and every year exponentially all their numbers are going up. So,
Yeah.
And you've done a little bit of your own riding. I don't think professional yet, but I know that you've been on the track quite a bit.
3 years Moto America. 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I raced for about 6 years. And I think in 2015 is when I made my Moto America debut. So I raced the first 3 years of the first three and only years of the KTM RC Cup. So I went to Barber, Jersey, Utah. 2017 was my last season, but that was like my best. I was when I was at my peak, and I was battling for, you know, the podium, and I was leading practice sessions, and that was when I was really at like my height of my career. And so that was, you know, when I was battling with Ben Smith and Corey Ventura, and we were, you know, dicing it up for first place in FP1 and stuff like that. And so that's ultimately what I credit a lot of my success to, is just the connections I made when racing, because I find myself to be pretty outgoing and personable. So when I'm wandering around the pits, meeting people and stuff, that's when the connections really get made, you know? So yeah, I raced for a few years. You know, I did CVMA in the winter and I won a couple championships there. And then I went over to Moto America and would race there during the summer and stuff, and obviously train here and there. But that's like the brief overview of like my racing career back in the day. So.
Well, I apologize. I've been super busy. I didn't take the time to research you as
it's all good, dude.
But yeah, you've made it a little bit farther than I have. I did basically the same kind of thing, but I did gain my pro license, but I never was able to afford racing at the pro level.
Yeah, fortunately, I had a lot of pretty supportive sponsors that really helped the way, and obviously it was mutual. You know, I learned a lot of my marketing stuff and a lot of my, I guess, professional client talk from working with sponsors and stuff. And I think that's where a lot of that basic marketing knowledge came from, was working with sponsors, you know, doing shout outs, doing all like the meet and greets and stuff for like Cycle Gear Bike Night and whatever it was, you know, and doing promo stuff. I think that's where a lot of my marketing knowledge and stuff came from, was working with those sponsors.
And I would have to say that no one is better to be a videographer than a pro racer who's videographing pro racing. Like, you know what to look for. You know the things that, I'm watching that because that doesn't matter. You want to watch 100% looking at.
Well, and that's the thing, and this is what I always say: the best photographers, videographers, whatever it is, they always ride. Yep. Believe it or not, I'm sure you're familiar with Andrew Lee.
Yes.
One of the best photographers I know, and that's because he rides motocross, he rides super bikes. He knows what shots to get, and he knows how to work camera, so he gets phenomenal pictures. Like, if I was racing, I'd hire him for the season to just take my photos because they're so good. And it just goes down to, like, it's the same for me. I know what shots I want to get. You know, I know what I could imagine myself seeing riding. I know what I would like best, and so it translates to the other riders. Because I mean, in all, we all want the same shots. You know, if one rider would like the shot, odds are another rider would like the shot. And I used to be a rider, so I know exactly too. You know, so it really makes it easy to get those shots for riders. So, and I definitely agree with that for sure.
Yeah, and so it just made me think there. What made you go full force into video as opposed to photos? Is it just because it tells such a much deeper story with the video?
I started in video at a younger age. So my grandma is like a video guru in like the film industry. So she was like an executive producer of a bunch of movies. She is one of the co-founders of the San Diego Film Festival. You know, like she knows a bunch of people in Hollywood. So she's like been always wrapped up in like design and film media. So when I was like 6 or something, she taught me how to like do basic editing, you know, with splicing and music and all that stuff. And so from there, I was creating like little like mini films and stuff like that for my parents at Christmas or whatever it was, you know. And that's what really helped me get the basic knowledge of editing. And it kind of just, I kind of kept it in the back of my head. And as I started writing, I would do like the basic editing with like GoPro edits and stuff. And I would probably say like 2016 is when I started like getting into like actually like filming like motocross and stuff, with my iPhone or whatever, just to get, something fun, because I saw like all the original guys doing the film stuff with motocross before every kid hopped on that trend and started becoming an oversaturated market, but we're not going to get into that. And so I started doing that for fun, and then it kind of turned into, okay, well, let me give the vlog thing a shot. So when I was doing Moto America, I was also vlogging in 2016 or 2016 or 2017. It was 2017, my bad. And so I started doing that and started editing, road racing videos and stuff like that. And then once I stopped racing, I started doing it a little bit more, just because I wasn't racing and stuff after I quote unquote retired. I started kind of taking on the film stuff a little bit for fun. And then it was, I think, June, I got a message from one of my sponsors. Like, hey, if we pay you and give you access into the pits, can you go make a video of Ashton Yates? Right? He's riding on our team. And I was like, sure, that's a lot of money that you're offering. I'm down. And for at the time. And so I was like, sure. So I drove out to Laguna Seca and filmed the video. And while I was there, I ran into some of my family friends who own Altus Motorsports. And I told them that I was out here making videos. Like, oh, well, we need some footage. So do you want to film for us? So I was like, sure. And so it kind of just snowballed. And then after that, they wanted to do it again for the next round. That's like when I back up to Sonoma, picked up a couple more teams that wanted stuff, because my rates were really cheap at the time. So it was, it wasn't expensive to them. And I just kept doing that. Went to Barber. Everyone was really happy. And then people started noticing that I was doing it. And so it was like, well, can we do something at Atlanta? And then that's when it really started to take off. And then it was like, oh, this kid does. And the videos, obviously, every time they get better and better and better as I start, getting used to it. I picked up a new camera when I went to Sonoma, and I got new lenses and all that stuff. And then, soon I was going to Daytona and all these events and stuff. And so, and then now it's getting to the point where, I'm contracted for the entire year. Same clients. It's not like, oh yeah, I'll make a video for this round, but not this round. It's like, no, we're doing it every single round. We're going to make a series. We're going to do the whole deal. We're going to get you content. We're going to make sure that you are getting the marketing that you need.
Yeah.
And so that was my big thing this year, is I wanted stability, and I wanted to work with the relationships that I'm making with the teams, and the riders. So
it's much more stable for you. And in the end, if you're working with them for a longer period of time, it's going to be a better product for them.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing that I've really started realizing is, like, especially working with Kyle, is like our relationship is starting to blossom more than just, client rider or whatever the deal is, clientele. It's now becoming like we're more like friends now than anything. And I think that's what's the most important. That's why our dynamic works so well. On top of the part that we have a very, very similar work ethic, our mentality is very similar. So it helps a lot, So, but that's definitely something that I've attributed to my being able to do what I do this year.
Yeah.
So
it seems like you just kind of, you've been doing video for a long time, and kind of fell into your lap when other things maybe didn't work out with the racing.
I wouldn't say it didn't work out, because it was my decision to stop. Like, I could easily kept going, but it was one of those deals where college was coming up. Okay. I had just gone onto the R6 and did a couple races, and it just, like, I was starting to get burnt out, and there were several really bad crashes in a row. My fault or not my fault. Like, I got taken out a couple times. I crashed my own a couple times, and it was just like, I gotta stop. I'm gonna stop in 5 months for college anyways. I might as well just hang it up and start, slowing down a little bit before I kind of kicked in gear. And so it was more of my choice. And then it was kind of just like, what's the next thing that's going to replace racing? Because up until that time, racing consumed my life. It was like, we ride twice a week. We mountain bike twice a week. We work out 3 times a day, and I'm at school, full time. So it was like, that took up all my time. I didn't really have that. I had a social life, but it wasn't that prevalent. I more focused on myself and my racing. I wasn't doing that much. And so to drop all of that and then also have free time, it's like, it was really weird for me because I can't do free time. I have to be doing something all the time. So once I picked up the filming thing, it kind of replaced it, which was good because I'm still in the industry. I'm still with all my friends and stuff like that. I still get to be with all the riders that I know, and I get to pursue my other passion, which is really cool.
And you get to make money, and it's way less risk.
Yeah, I get to take the other people's money now, not spend it. Yeah, it's definitely a lot less risk. And I've been fortunate enough to go into an industry where there's high demand and not enough supply for what I'm providing. Because this is what I was talking about earlier. It's like motocross, especially now. Every time I go out to the motocross track, which isn't often because I'm always traveling, but like I have a bunch of riders who are really, really good. Like a lot of upcoming amateurs that are on like the factory teams and stuff. They're all out there. And every time I go, there's like 3 new guys doing videos. I'm like, how does this happen? It's like repopulating faster than like bunnies. But so basically that's a market where there's too many filmers. And so it's almost nearly impossible to separate yourself from everyone else because obviously the guys who are the best are going to be at the top, are going to stay at the top, because they have the most experience and they have the most following. So if any of the riders are going to go for videos, it's going to be those guys. There's like probably like 3 to 5 real main guys up there. And those are the guys that are producing like the best edits, and everyone's going to them. And not to discredit the other guys who are trying, it's just those guys have more experience. They have all the equipment, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's another reason why I didn't pursue motocross, is just because it's too saturated. I'm not going to put in more effort to make a name for myself and not get as much out when I can just do it in the market that I already know with all the context that I already have.
Yeah.
And where there's only 3 of us, especially in the States. It's me and 2 other guys, and they're both working for other teams. So it's like there's no competition there because I'm fully contracted and they're all contracted, so I don't have to worry about them. So it's safer, it's more fun, and it's more, not more, I don't want to say cash or income positive, but you know what I mean. I get more out of it. That's what I'm trying to say.
More valuable to you because you know the sport.
Mm-hmm.
In a way.
And the cool thing is, because there's not that many like videographers in the motorcycle road racing industry, it's a lot easier for me to expand too, because there's not a lot of guys, and I'm very aware of who is in the market, and at first it was just domestic, but now I'm really branching out to who's doing what in which area of Europe. And there's a couple guys that I'm like kind of like keeping tabs up to see what they're doing, because eventually, and I know that this is probably going to be a topic we're going to talk about later, but like, my plan is to go Europe full time next year, so I really am starting to see what teams can I work with, who's got filmmakers, who's doing video over there, how is my stuff looking to compare to theirs, am I going to branch out to these other teams and riders in a way that other people haven't already,
Yeah. And would you ever, say somebody filmed something, would you ever just edit that footage, or would you have to do the whole thing from start to finish?
I prefer to film it from start to finish, just because all the stuff I film is filmed for a reason. I never film just random clips just cause, unless I need filler, which I occasionally do. But for the most part, I film things in sequence for a reason. That's the whole storytelling thing I was going on about earlier, I film things on a reason so I can tell that story in a way that no one else does. So I've edited footage, especially when I was first starting, just for some quick cash, but I prefer not to, just because it's not going to be as good as if I did, Right. So, but I have done some of that before.
And I'm always curious. I'm a little bit of a gear nerd myself. So what kind of gear are you using? I mean, you probably have so many different cameras now, right?
So I have 2 cameras. I have a Panasonic GH5S and a GH5. I have my GH5S in my main shooter because it shoots 240 FPS in camera, which is crazy for a DSLR. So I've got that on a tripod with a cage and a monitor. I got a 100-400 millimeter lens, f4 to 6.3. I've got, let's see, I got the mic. I don't have a ton of like crazy attachments. I don't have a follow focus because I really like doing manual with this. I try to keep it relatively simple, but if races keep going, because I'm kind of like being a little cautious about my spending, so I have a safety net in case if something happens to the rest of the rounds or something, God forbid. I have cash net, but the next purchase is going to be investing in a red camera. So
those aren't cheap.
Yeah, no, they are not. But the idea is to get a used one because the used ones won't depreciate like at all.
Okay.
By then, the red name is one of the most iconic names in film. So if you shoot with the red, you're a big deal. It's kind of essentially like people know you mean business.
Yeah.
So the idea behind getting a red is a red's name holds a value. Once it's depreciated, it doesn't keep going down. Like once it's down here, it maybe will go down to like $100 to $500, but that's it. So for me to buy it now, use the red to start creating, expanding my level of production up and keep rising to the point where I get more clients. I can start, increasing rates and stuff and bringing in more income. There'll be a point where I can now sell that for close to the same price I bought it and buy a new one. Yeah. And then it's like we're at the next level, we're at the top of the game, and this will be a couple of years down the line. But the idea is to buy the red and have it, as my main asset is going to be a big deal. Plus tax write-off. So
absolutely, everything is. Every expense that you use for business is considered that.
I've been trying to keep really on track of my expenses. I didn't do some for my last trip, but yeah. So that's like right now I'm still rocking the DSLR setup, which is the quality is very impressed. I'm very impressed with the level that DSLRs are putting out this year. Like they are doing a very good job, and I'm very impressed with it. So, but the next step is getting that full cinema setup, and I think that's what's really going to separate myself even more from what I'm doing already.
And what would the average person notice in that quality difference from camera to camera? Just the sharpness, a little bit more crystal clear?
It's gonna be the sharpness for sure. There's a specific look, which I don't really exactly know how to describe, but it's like, and a lot of this is stuff that I see. Like I have guys who got cinema cameras who say that my stuff looks just like theirs. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Your stuff looks way better than mine. But that's also because I have a doctor's eye. I've been using this setup for so long that I know what it looks like, and I know that I want better image quality after a while, And so I want to get the stuff that you see on like the MotoGP slow motion on TV. I want to get the stuff you see in like those feature films. I want like that level of sharpness, which I don't think at the level of production that I'm doing, my stuff is providing. And so it's like the next thing that I got to work on. So fortunately, right now, my setup works really well for what I got and the level that I'm at. But I'm really looking forward to upgrading. I just need to make sure that I have enough of a safety net around me after I make that purchase.
Right. Yeah. And I saw the MotoGP this weekend. The camera, I think it was 2,000 frames per second.
It's 1,000, 2,000 frames per second, and I was tampering with the idea of trying to get one of those, but they're like $70,000. It's
man,
it's like $70,000 and it shipped to like 10,000 frames per second or something like that. It's something crazy like that, and it's like, I don't think I need that right now.
Yeah.
But down the line I will, but not right now. So those are that. What were you saying?
That'd be really cool one day. Ask Santa for it.
Yeah, seriously, I would love that. But no, for right now, my equipment is working good. I am very excited to upgrade to that red. I don't know when it's gonna happen, just because things keep changing, and I don't want to risk anything right now, especially with the state of the country. So I'm trying to be really smart, because last time I bought my GH5S, and then I didn't have enough work to really provide like a safety net, and then we went into lockdown, and I was kind of screwed on expenses. Unfortunately, I'm only 20 years old. I still got my parents, who are still supporting me a little bit, even though I pay all my expenses and all my bills and stuff. But I was fortunate enough to be able to be a little bit more lenient, as this was my first time. And now that I learned for that, I know I need safety, and I'm just trying to play a little more smart before I make a huge expensive purchase like that, you know?
Yeah. So, you're trying to get better with your expenses and everything. Are you using QuickBooks, or how are you keeping track of all that?
Yeah, so I use QuickBooks as like the master folder to really track everything. So all my expenses, my invoices, all that stuff gets done through there. But obviously when I'm traveling, it's hard to like mark all that down. So I have an app called Expensify, which I kind of just quickly write in all the expenses I make on that trip. And then when I get back from the trip, I kind of cross-reference all my receipts and everything on my app and implement it into QuickBooks. So it's like one database central, you know, back it up, everything's good to go.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I initially started EricSwahnRacing LLC to separate personal from racing, because it just is ridiculous. You go on a trip, you're like, I forget how much I spent, and so
yeah.
And then for sponsors, you know, they always want to pay a business rather than a person, which helps.
Yeah, and it was definitely a learning curve for a little bit for me, especially just like getting the motion of just collecting receipts and tracking expenses. But like now that I, especially like more recently, like within the past like few months, I've really started to up like the level of like seriousness I'm taking on this, and so it's really helping me, you know, get organized with how I'm running this thing, especially like because I've got such big goals for next year that I'm really trying to push how on top of I'm trying to be on things, you know. So.
And you were talking about maybe going over to Europe. Where in Europe do you think you would to venture out first?
So right now I'm gonna keep things kind of anonymous, just because I don't want to get too in details, because everything's so preliminary. Like these are just the very beginning of stages of trying to organize something. But I got 3 series that I'm looking at. I'm looking at a team over in Moto2 that I've been talking with. We're in talks right now, but possibly doing something. But the only problem is that Dorna is super strict on media coverage. So we would have to figure out some sort of loophole or some sort of compromise with Dorna to try and get this to happen. And it's going to take a lot of work. And otherwise we have to pay, quote unquote, a small fortune to get access to film. And I know that no team would be willing to put that up unless they found a big name sponsor. It's one of the options. Looking at, I've got 2 teams in World Superbike I'm looking at working with, and it's the same deal. But I've heard that over the past couple of years, they're loosening tensions on media, and I think it's starting to loosen even more going into the next year. And there's, I heard a slight rumor, and I don't think this is official or not, but there's a chance that with some sort of exception, you might be able to film on track, which is all my entire thing. I'm one of the only guys who does on track. And so if I can pull that off, it'd be cool. And obviously testing is free range. They don't care. So I can always do a test. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And then my backup plan is to go to World Endurance Championship, because like Moto America, they give you free reign to film on track. You can film on track, you can go in the pits, you can do whatever you want. So one of the things for this year, which is really cool, is I'm with both factory Suzuki teams in both flat track and Moto America, or the factory backed. So if both the other endeavors fail, I'm hoping to use the connection I made with Suzuki to work with the Suzuki team over in World Endurance Championship.
That's pretty cool.
So
got a lot of stuff going on.
I've got backup plans on backup plans on backup plans, because I'm in the mentality that I'm going to Europe no matter what next year, and I just got to figure out a way I make it happen. So, and obviously as I start making my name a little bit more well known throughout the community and stuff, I think that opportunities will open up more as time goes on. But for now, the plan is to move to Europe. It's either going to be Italy or Andorra, because Andorra is where all the MotoGP guys train. Okay. And I was talking to one of my buddies who's racing over there. He thinks he might want to move in with me so we can go produce more content during off season and stuff. So it's really cool, but that is definitely 100% the plan, is to go to Europe. And then if that doesn't work out, then obviously I have flat track Moto America to fall back on here. But I really am trying to branch out to Europe, because that's where all the business is happening out there. You know, that's where all the big teams are and stuff like that. Not to say they aren't here, but you know, that's when you start working with all the big name riders. You know, so yeah, and I'm really excited to see what opportunities open up once I'm over there, and I think it'll be really cool. And it's gonna be a big step because I'm essentially gonna be moving to Europe. It's my first time out of the country. I won't know anyone there. It's gonna be a big learning curve, and it's gonna make me be very uncomfortable at first, but I'm excited. I think it's really cool.
It'll make you grow, though, for sure.
Yeah. So.
And back to some of the other tracks, they don't allow you to film much, or the series themselves. Is that from a safety standpoint, or they want to have control of all?
They want control of what media gets out and what's not. So especially with with Dorna, they really are trying to control the rights to the broadcast. So they really want to have rights over anything that's on track related. Like I was talking to someone that was testing a Moto e-bike. They weren't even allowed to film like on track with a smartphone. Like they stopped them. Like you are not allowed to film. So they're very, very strict. So I'd be interested to see what changes are going to be put in place for 2021, because as the situation gets more and more dynamic, opportunities open up within that. So I don't think it's just from a safety standpoint, because I mean, everyone wears vests. I mean, photographers are still allowed to be on track and on the sidelines and stuff. And I know that it can be done because I've seen other, like I said, I keep tabs on all the guys over in Europe and stuff. And I've seen one of the guys over there produce content for a bunch of the teams over MotoGP. So I know it can be done, but I know that they paid a hefty fine for the rights to that. So it's, you know, who's going to put up the money for that?
Right. Yeah. It's strange that you have to put up money to kind of purchase content that they just created. It's all
I'm not going to get into details, but it's the same thing here in the States. Yeah. Like I get free reign to go film here, but I mean, it's still not fully free. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I'm excited.
I guess it's just to a layman like me, I had no idea about this industry at all. So I had no idea you have to pay for the content, pay for footage.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it's similar to Dorna, and I'm not going to get into the details, but basically the idea is that Moto America owns rights to the footage. That was known from the forefront when I started doing it. So Watermark has been all the footage I produce. They are a lot more lenient with what footage I post, because I like I said, I work with them, so they get all the content that I produce. They get all the footage I make, or they buy all the footage I make, and so I have free reign. But let's say if a brand that's a non-main sponsor wants that footage without like the watermark, for instance, they have to buy rights to the footage. Essentially, that's the difference, you know. So MotoGP and Dorna is strictly like you are not allowed to film or post any of it unless you have rights to it. They're a lot more strict.
Yeah.
But it's kind of all in the same, you know? So it's definitely an interesting politics that go into it. But, you know, It's part of the game. I don't blame them. So.
For sure. So you would, just because of the economic situation in Europe might be better for the motorsports market. Tell me about California. I would think I want to move out to California or something. It seems amazing out there.
California, here's the deal with California. California is, from an economic standpoint, is expensive as hell. Oh my God,
high cost of living.
Expensive here. High cost of living. But you have everything here. You have all the teams, well, not all the teams, majority of the teams. You have all the supercross teams. You have all the motocross teams. You have all the tracks out here for anything. Bunch of the main shops are out here. You know, Moto America is based out here. Tech Performance is based out here. You know, Suzuki is based in Atlanta, but they also have offices out here. Like everything is out here. And obviously, you got the weather, you got the beaches, you got everything. Yeah. So I mean, California is nearly a hot spot for motorsports stuff, and especially for road racing, I'd say it's California, Atlanta, Alabama, that area. That's where everything is kind of based. So it's like if you're gonna move out here, there's so many amenities when it comes to racing, you know. And plus, you got a ton of shops and stuff. You know, a bunch of the offices are out here. NorCal has, you know, Motion Pro, Cycle Gear. Those are both out there. You come down here, you got. I'm blanking on a bunch of the shops, but there's so many like assets out here that it's like, even if you pay a lot, you have everything out here. So, and plus you have a lot of good tracks out here too. Chuckwalla, Willow, Auto Club. You have a bunch of, you know, assets for racing and stuff. So, I mean, you pay the price for everything that's out here, you know? So.
Yeah. Like an admission fee to the park, right?
Basically, it's a fun ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so.
You're going to Seika there. There's like Motion Pro, like you said, Driven Racing, Jim O'Neill, OGO.
Yep, Driven.
There.
Yep.
A lot of good.
Yep. So yeah, exactly. And so it's like you're kind of paying for a lot of those things to be out here because everyone's based out in California. So.
Yeah. And what would some of your advice be to new camera people if you're trying to get into videography or photography? How did you get started? You got started with your grandmother or your mother?
Yeah, my grandma started me at a young age, but for me, the real film stuff didn't start until I just started going out to tracks and filming. I saw guys doing it, and they were posting videos on Instagram, and I thought that was cool. It looked the coolest thing ever. So I bought a $200 iPhone gimbal or something like that. Yeah. I went out to Paula and I started filming a bunch of riders and just posting. And you know, the thing for me is, and I always say this, is just start. All it takes is for you to start. You don't need anything crazy. Yeah, your videos won't look as good as all the main guys out there, and they're not supposed to. They've been doing it for so long for a reason, you know? And my stuff keeps getting better because I put in the time and effort to practice, and I go back to old footage and edit when I have nothing new going live. I make sure that my number one rule is every video I make has to be better than the last. Whether it's a new editing style or it's new content or new way of looking at things, every video has to be better than the last one, because it's the only way for me to improve my skills and the only way for me to grow as a businessman, as an editor, marketer, videographer, cinematographer. It's the only way for me to elevate myself is if I push myself to make content that's better than last. And that's one of the reasons I attribute my videos to keep getting better and to develop my skills, is because I put the pressure on myself to keep improving. So my biggest advice is just to get out there and get started, and to just keep practicing, because the more you do it, the more you learn about myself. Like it took up until I think it took up until right after Road America 2 that I finally figured out how to do smooth slow motion.
Okay.
Like I've been doing this for 2 years nearly, and it just now took me until now to figure out how to really smooth out my slow motion. Like, you know, it never stops learning. And it was like I figured out I was filming something within like the past couple months, and I finally figured out how to do something on my camera. I forgot what it was, but it was like it shouldn't have taken me that long to film it to figure it out. But I'm still figuring it out, you know? So it's just the more practice. They say practice makes perfect, and you may blow it off, but it's so true. Like the more you practice, the more time you put into it, just the better you're going to be off, you know?
Yeah, I always try to tell people, start before you're ready. Start before you think you're ready, and then you'll do fine. Like I started when I was ready with racing, and I did okay. Like I'm not really ready to do this podcast, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't when I started mine. We didn't know what we were gonna do. Still turned out good. People liked it. Yeah. So you know, it's just like you will never know if you like it or if you don't like it or if you're good or not until you start. You know, and even if you're not good, keep making content. And this is the other thing I will say: keep making content that you like, not that everyone else likes. Obviously, keep it in mind. You know your audience, but like my last video was one of my favorites. Didn't do well, got terrible views. I still liked it. I try not to think of it too much, because ultimately, and this is something that I really like, is my following has grown around the style of editing that I have. So when I try and change up my styling to work with a different audience, it doesn't do as well. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Because I have friends from racing who I've known before I started doing it, saying, you should use different music. People that you're gonna lose your audience or you're gonna get less views if you don't use like this rap music, or if you use this rap music or not. So I go use a rock music and it gets less views than my rap music. I'm like, yeah, you gotta help me out here, you know?
Yeah. I think I mentioned to you, man, you should throw in some heavy metal in there, and you're like, well, I could, but I don't really want to, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. Well, and that's just, and that's the thing. It's like, I also have my style, and because I am a lot younger, my audience is targeted to a much younger audience. That's the difference between me and the other guys who are making videos.
You might put
I'm one of the
Bon Jovi and things, and it's
honestly
a different crowd, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like I'm probably one of the youngest guys out there making videos in road racing, or just in general. Yeah, road racing, because there's a lot of young ones in motocross. But because of that, I have a different eye than everyone else. I know what is trending. I know what styles are engaging for to catch people's eye, especially because, my generation, so to speak, has issues with focus and retaining attention. So I know from my perspective what keeps my attention, what doesn't. So it's easy for me to go ahead and say I have a much younger style, but it retains your attention much better.
Right.
So for me, that's an advantage to me because I understand what content people want to see and I understand how to keep their attention. So if I can go ahead and provide that value to someone, it separates me from everyone else. So yeah, you may not like my rap music, but 98% of everyone else who follows me does. So it's like,
it please everybody.
Trust me, I've learned that you cannot please everyone. Every video I post, it'll have 30, 40 comments saying this is so awesome, I'm so proud of you, Kyle, whatever it is, and there'll be two like, I don't like this music. Great video though, hate the music. I'm like, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
So I try not to take it to heart.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least you're people who are saying negative things. That means you're pissing people off and making a name for yourself. I mean, it's not that all this is good press or all bad press is good press, but I think if at least some people are not like you're doing something good.
Yeah, I remember I heard from someone that two people who I'm very well aware of were talking badly about me. They're like other filmers. They like said like some comment about me, like I don't know what it was. They were like making fun of me or something, and I was like, that is so funny that I have haters because they're talking about me, but I'm not talking about them. That's the whole bad press is any press is good press. It's like they may be talking bad about me, but they're still talking about me. It's like I have my big thing is relationships and reputation. I really try to make as many friends and respect everyone and give everyone the same amount of respect. I don't try to be mean or talk badly about anyone. You will rarely ever hear me bad mouthing, and if I do, I try and like caution saying like, I'm not trying to talk bad. I'm just stating my opinions. And that's the thing is like I know that stuff like that spreads like wildfire, so I do my absolute best not to talk badly about people. So, and it comes around. That's when relationships are made. I might not like the person that much, but I mean, I'm still gonna treat them with respect. So.
Yeah. And so I was curious, what kind of editing software do you use? And you probably use a whole suite of them, maybe for over the years. Really.
So right now, for my videos, it probably takes about, if we're talking about the whole package, it takes me about 4 programs to get done. Okay. So Premiere is the main Adobe Premiere Pro is the main program I use. That's where I produce all my videos, all the compositions, everything. So the whole project is edited in Premiere. But there's often times where I have to go in and take a clip and manipulate it in a certain way, whether throw an effect, do transition between 2 clips, do some text animation, whatever it is, I may have to go manipulate it. That gets dragged into After Effects. So I'll go into After Effects, which is another Adobe product. I use all Adobe software. And that After Effects will allow me to go and manipulate that one clip. So I'll edit the clip, export out of Adobe, drag it, After Effects, drag it into Premiere, and then finish the project in there.
Okay.
So all the video stuff is done in there. Then when it comes to logos, diagrams, anything that has some sort of graphic, I do in either Illustrator or Photoshop.
Okay.
If I need to create some sort of logo or something, I'll use Illustrator, because Illustrator can create vector files, and I love vector files because they retain the same amount of pixels when you size up and down.
Okay.
Photoshop is good for when people provide me logos, but I have to get rid of the background real quick, because I'm not going to throw a white square with the logo over a video, because that just looks unprofessional. So I'll drag into Photoshop, I'll get rid of the background, export as PNG, and just throw it in, and then it's good to go. So that's kind of like my arsenal as far as creating stuff. And majority of the time, it's only Premiere and After Effects. But there's times where I have to go in and edit a logo, or create a logo, or create some sort of and design, whatever it is. That's usually what it goes from. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so in college, I got into music and music production and song writing and stuff like that. So I record my own music and mess around with it. And I used Logic back then for Mac computers.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Audio, video, just audio software. And so I got to learn how to splice and make beats and drum all these different sounds and mess around with like the playheads and everything.
Yeah.
But I never really did video. I mean, I posted maybe 60 race videos, just zero editing. I just spliced the beginning and the end and so now that I'm doing all these podcasts and working with multicam feeds, that's quite a bit over my head when I first started. And it's really not that difficult. But right now I'm actually, my GoPro died, but I'm using another camera behind me as well to kind of put another angle on it if I'm talking for more period of time. But I found out, maybe I'm not doing it right, but Zoom, you cannot simply sync a Zoom clip with a camera feed based on sound like I normally do. I normally just press sound and then it syncs by sound, but with the Zoom, it can't do that. So then I have to manually move the playhead or move the audio waveform to the right spot, and then a whole bunch of different things to get it to sync.
This goes back to the whole part about me saying that I'm still learning and stuff, because up until about 3 weeks ago, I just learned how to do that, how to sync the clips together. Up until then, all my interviews were manually done. I would drag the audio clip underneath the video audio, my microphone audio from the clip mic. I had to manually drag that sound bit underneath the actual video audio and sync it up. And it was a pain in the ass until I figured out how to do it. So trust me, I've done that plenty of times.
Oh yeah.
Plenty of times.
So it's a little not as easy with the Zoom clip, but it's still okay.
Yeah.
Getting a conversation in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when we filmed our podcast, basically my buddy runs a YouTube channel. That's his job, and he's very successful. It's an airsoft channel. It's got like 250,000 subscribers or whatever. He's doing really good, and he's launched his own store and everything. He's doing very good. But because he makes YouTube videos, he has a camera. So we literally would just hook up 2 cameras. We'd each record ourselves. We talk to each other for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is. Then we'll either send one of each other the footage, and then we'll just edit and we'll sync it up and just splice it based on who's talking. So that's basically what we did, and it worked out fine.
Because you're remote with him. You're not in the same room. Yeah.
No, he lives in near Santa Cruz, and I'm in San Diego. So we're we met during college, but he's way far. He lives way far away from me. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you happen to watch any of the MotoGP race this weekend? Any of the series?
Yeah. I watched it in the airport on the way home from Florida yesterday. It was great.
I have to rewatch it, man. It was crazy. I won't give any big spoilers away because I'm sure some people haven't watched it. It's still on DVR, but man,
I was so mad. Yeah, someone spoiled the race for me when I was 3 laps in. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Yeah.
I got so mad at him. Like, you got to be kidding me.
I always have to stay off of social media, Instagram and Facebook, because my whole feed is racing.
Yeah, I try not to follow any like the MotoGP accounts or whatnot because I don't want spoilers. But of course, I found this one account that posts like cool pictures and stuff, and I realized they're gonna spoil the race for me, so I had to mute them real quick. And I was like, "You'll be kidding me."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so
You know, something I thought today that's probably craziness. What if Marquez saving crashes isn't just Marquez? What if they have some sort of crash save device that they've been working on their bike? Is that possible?
Well, for Ducati, I would say yes if it happened more regularly because we still don't know what's in the box on the back. And I think it's some sort of gyro that helps. I think it's some sort of gyro that helps in stability in the corners. I think that it provides some sort of weight ballast that changes during the thing. Now, if Repsol were to create some sort of mechanism that once the front folds, it changes it pulls the weight back so it's easier to recover, then I would say, yeah, there's very well something. But I just don't know how they would fit some sort of device of that weight, that size, in the bike, or how they do it. They very well could, but also, if you saw Marquez's run in the race, he's incredibly talented. So it's like, it could happen, but I would need to see more proof or more evidence that could happen,
Yeah.
So I'm a little skeptical on the idea, but it'd be cool to figure something out because he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
I didn't follow him as much in Moto2, so I'd like to see more saves in Moto2. Because if he came straight from Moto2 and MotoGP and just started saving them all of a sudden in MotoGP, that's a little more suspicious to me,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just he lives at the limit, right? He always he goes over. He's like, I've been here before. I know how to get back.
Yeah. And I'm very proud to say I've had one of those saves in my career, and I think that was one of my best all-time saves, just coming through the last corner at Auto Club Speedway. Full ping, went over one of the bumps, tucked the front. I saved it with my body, and I grabbed on the brakes and bouncing me up. I'm probably going 90 miles per hour, and I saved it. And I was so proud of myself. I was like, oh, that was scary. Buddy almost hits me in the back. It was great. It's a fantastic time. I felt like Marquez.
They say when in doubt, throttle out, right?
Yeah, seriously. So.
And you got you got a Rocket Rispoli hat on?
Yep. He was like, you need a new hat, so he gave it this to me this weekend. So I'm probably gonna be
Rispoli.
Yep. Well, I mean, I'm working with him. I might as well rep his stuff. So, but yeah, I'll wear one hat, and then that's all I'll wear because I'll forget. I don't really care about the hat. I was wearing a Norden Motorsports one. Yeah. They I used to work with them and stuff, and they field Rocco Landers in Moto America in the Junior Cup. So I was rocking that for a while, but it's all so trash now and old. I've had it for 2-3 years, so it was time for a new one, anyways.
I've actually been on track with James Rispoli. He kicked my ass, but I at least was in.
I think I could see it behind you in the picture.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Here. Where is it?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
How cool is that?
I never got a ride with him because he's out east in Florida, and I'm obviously out here, and so by the time I was in, I was only on 600 for such short of a time that by the time that because he was in, I think, Britain by the time I started racing. Yeah. And then when he came back, he did flat track, and so we never got a chance to ride together. So.
Yep.
But.
Some track days or something.
Yeah, seriously. So I barely ride anymore. I try to get on and do minis at least, but I just don't have the time because I'm always traveling. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing a mountain bike racing series. Unfortunately, this year the championship itself is canceled, but they're still doing a couple races. So it's I kind of want to do it, but it's another 3 hours up north, and I don't know if I want to travel right now.
Is it up in Auburn? Wait, where are you live again?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay, for some reason I thought you were in NorCal. For some reason I got confused.
I'm about 45 minutes north of Detroit.
Okay, got it.
We always use our in Michigan. It would be kind of up here in the top north Michigan area.
Yep, got it. Nice.
A little far for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. There's one this weekend in Manistee. It's in the middle of a national forest.
Yep. Nice. All right. Cool.
So yeah. Do you have anything you want to talk about today?
Dude, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do for these. So I've got about 7 weekends in a row that are back-to-back events, and I don't even know how I'm gonna get them done. But I gotta get going on work soon. To be honest, I got a lot of editing to do. So,
I understand. Well, I won't
yeah,
keep you too long.
yeah. Do you have any other questions, real quick?
Tell me about your dirt experience. Are you a dirt rider? Are you tell me about how your dirt experience has gone.
Oh, that is not a sight you want to see.
No.
It's interesting. I started out on road. I never started on dirt, so it was harder for me to learn how to ride dirt than to ride road. So I can go ride, a TTR 125, my buddy's backyard on like a dirt track, no problem. I can do like quick TT flat track. But as soon as you throw jumps in there, it's game over. I'm not even trying that. Throw ruts in there, don't even think about it. I am not a dirt person.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's fun. I am not a dirt person.
Yeah.
So I've, like I said, I can do quick like TT flat track stuff. That's no big deal. If it's something mellow, just in a backyard or something. But as soon as you throw jumps in there or ruts, it's like game over. Game over. It's not even worth it.
I haven't even been on a motocross track myself at all.
Yeah.
The dirt bike a couple times, but yeah, the jumps from I started on pavement. You don't have any dirt background.
Yeah.
I even have 50-60 dirt background.
I definitely would recommend doing some sort of flat track just because it's a little bit less risky. It's fun. It's so much fun. It's like it's the most fun you can, among the most fun you can have on dirt, especially if you don't have a ton of experience. And I mean, you can just go, mess around and stuff. So, like, I mean, I'm a very big fan of the rear brake when we're off track. I love backing it in. So it's a perfect place to go do that. You can. It's also a great way to learn, thought control. If the rear stick kicks out, work the muscle memory of controlling a slide. So obviously dirt is different than asphalt, but it's the same principles.
Yeah, I definitely would like to do some AFT. I do have a problem with, it seems like there's much less safety in flat track than there is in road racing.
So safety has been getting better. Like when I was at the race this weekend, there were air fences. Everyone had airbag suits. It was pretty safe. There were a couple crashes the second day because the track was extremely grippy compared to Friday. But as far as crashes, there was nothing major. I mean, one of the riders hit the airbag fence, but he walked away fine. He just deflated it, so it took a little bit of time to get back up and running. But I mean, I have not noticed any non-safety issues. I have not noticed any safety issues with AFT.
I haven't watched it this year, so I don't know. But in the past, when I saw a flat track, it always seemed like they were going around the outside, and then there's a railing right on the outside usually.
So maybe on the miles, but this one it was normal road racing strategy. You go to the inside of the corner, you go to the outside and inside. Okay. So it was also a half mile, so that might be something different. So I don't know about like the miles and stuff, but I'm pretty sure they've been transitioning to like road racing lines. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I have to check it out.
Sure. Yeah. So all right. Anything else? I gotta get going on that.
Up here, no problem. I understand.
Awesome, cool. Thanks.
I have to ship a few orders myself. I have to still work on my own business and answer some great questions. So no problem at all.
Awesome. All right, cool. All right, awesome.
I appreciate you coming on here. Where can people find you online on internet? Yeah,
so I'm mostly active on Instagram. I'm at GrayPham241. That's GrayPham 241. You can find me. I'm not active on YouTube. That's where I post some content during the off season. It's GP Industries. Same with Facebook. I mean, that's about it. Instagram's the main one though. So.
And you got any content you want to give us a preview on that's coming?
Oh well, beginning of 2021, and just something we didn't tap into, but it's okay. It's not that big. I got a documentary series that I work on in the off season. So season 1's out right now on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. But season 2 is gonna be a big deal. American Racing season 2. It's gonna be big. We're heading to series. We're covering a lot more personal depth of all the riders. What their home life, family life is, relationships. the behind the scenes of all the races that you don't get to see, you know, the stories of all the privateers. You know, this is going to be a really new look at the series. So I'm really excited to see how it goes. So definitely keep an eye out for that at the beginning of next year.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see it. Thanks for coming.
Awesome.
I'll talk to you.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks. Bye.
Awesome. All right. Cool.